Well, guess who's back? It's In Focus Health segment at the moment, and of course we're joined by our health correspondent, Lino Madu. It's good to have you back.
Oh yeah, it's good to be back.
Welcome.
And thank you. Today
what do you have for us?
Just to look at some of the highlights in health news, and local environmentalists in Nigeria are urging the government to halt the dumping of important electronic waste in the country. The move comes after investigative reporters followed electronic waste from Europe to Nigeria. Electronic waste contains metals that can be hazardous to people's health. Disposal of the metals is costly and is highly regulated in Europe. One study last year in Nigeria said about 500 containers of second-hand electronics arrive at Lagos seaport every month. Now, local environmentalist researchers are calling on the government to put an end to the dumping.
Nigeria has turned to dumping ground. The Europe, they just bring all kind of, things there. And I don't blame the Europe. It's so-called the Nigerian that will go to Europe and buy all these things from them and bring it to Nigeria. And nobody is checking them.
Health officials in Malawi say a cholera outbreak has killed at least 60 people and affected more than 1,000 others. The intestinal infection spreads through contaminated food and water. It can cause severe dehydration and death without proper treatment. Officials in Malawi fear the cholera epidemic in neighboring Zimbabwe could spread into the country. For the past year, Malawian health officials have discouraged people from preparing food at funerals and buying meals from vendors. Doctors Without Borders and other international health organizations are working with the government to train nurses, install latrines, and set up isolation units. And a massive polio vaccination campaign is underway in 8 West African countries. Traditional and religious leaders are part of the campaign in Niger as a way to reach more people. Another strategy in Niger involves the deployment of more than 3,000 social workers. Health officials have long faced difficulties in conservative areas of southeastern Niger, where many parents continue to refuse to immunize their children. The objective is to reach 4.2 million children under 5 years old. The massive immunization campaign started in February and is scheduled to run through this month. And finally, senior United Nations officials met earlier this week at UN headquarters in New York to discuss the status of women and the issue of violence against women and girls. Senior United Nations officials are calling for intensified worldwide actions to end violence against women and girls. They met Monday at the opening session of the Commission on the Status of Women to evaluate progress on gender equality. Asha Rose Mijiro is UN's Deputy Secretary General.
Through his campaign, Unite to End All Forms of Violence Against Women and Girls, the Secretary General is resolved to put an end to this scourge.
Rape is often used as a weapon of war. Over the past decade, 2 out of 3 women have been the victims of violent rape in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Human rights advocates say the eastern region of the DRC suffers from the world's highest incidence of sexual violence. Rachel Mayanja is the UN Special Advisor on Gender Issues and Advancement of Women.
Violence against women, one of the most extreme manifestations of pervasive violations of women's human rights, continues unabated, and intensified worldwide efforts are needed to end it. Its consequences and costs are far-reaching, long-lasting, and devastating not only for its victims, but also to societies.
Last month, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon visited rape victims at the Hill Africa Hospital in the DRC's North Kivu province. He later told reporters about an earlier meeting with Congolese President Joseph Kabila.
I have asked President Kabila that as a leader of this country, and I as a leader of the United Nations, should work together to prevent and to stop this sexual violence.
The UN Secretary General visited North Kivu province as part of a tour of Africa. He also stopped in Rwanda, South Africa, Tanzania, and Egypt. Lino Mudu, VOA News.
Well, thank you very much, Lenore.
You really caught us up onto a lot of health news that we're missing out on.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah,
so.
thanks. We need everybody to know this. And thank you very much. That is Lenore Madu. Be sure to watch for Lenore Madu every Tuesday and Thursday for the latest health news in Africa right here on In Focus.
And for more information on these stories, please go to voanews.com/TV to Africa.